Breaking news. Standoff at Scarborough Shoal. Chinese and Philippine vessels in face-off at sunrise. The headline flashes on screens across the world. It is just after 5 a.m. The first rays of light cut across the restless waves. Red and white hulls glint in the early sun, engines rumbling like distant thunder. The air is thick with tension. On one side, the green and white Philippine Coast Guard ships. On the other, sleek gray Chinese vessels, flags snapping in the breeze. Between them, small wooden fishing boats bob uneasily. A helicopter circles above, its shadow gliding over the water, recording every move. Shouts echo across the water. Radio chatter crackles. Filipino crew members stare across the waves at their Chinese counterparts. No one moves. Every eye is locked on the other side, waiting for the first sign of action. The world watches, breathless, as Scarborough Shoal becomes the latest flashpoint in the South China Sea. Scarborough Shoal is a small, rocky outcrop. It lies just over 120 nautical miles from the Philippine coast, but far closer than any Chinese town. The sea is turquoise, dotted with coral reefs. Fishermen from both countries have sailed here for generations. But now, the calm is gone. On this day, the main actors are clear. The Philippine Coast Guard, their vessels weathered but determined. The Chinese maritime surveillance ships, newer and more imposing. Both sides are backed by Navy ships lurking over the horizon, ready if called. Between the big ships, dozens of Filipino fishing boats cling to hope. Their livelihoods depend on these rich waters. Above, drones buzz, sending live feeds to military command centers. The world's media gather on distant ships, their cameras focused on the shoal. This is not just a local dispute. The whole world is watching. Scarborough Shoal sits at the heart of one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Whoever controls it, controls more than just fish. The standoff did not begin overnight. For years, both China and the Philippines have claimed Scarborough Shoal. Tensions simmered, but fishermen still managed to work. Recently, things changed. Chinese vessels began building up their presence. Filipino fishermen reported being harassed, blocked, and chased away. In this latest incident, a Philippine patrol spotted several large Chinese ships inside the shoal's lagoon. Manila sent Coast Guard ships to investigate. Beijing responded by sending even more vessels. Suddenly, the waters were crowded with armed ships, each one refusing to back down. Official statements came quickly. The Philippines accused China of violating its sovereignty. China insisted it was protecting its own territory. The world's attention turned to Scarborough Shoal. The stage was set for a high-stakes showdown. What began as a routine patrol spiraled into a major crisis. Both sides accused each other of provocation. The risk of miscalculation was high. One wrong move and conflict could ignite. As days passed, the standoff grew more dangerous. Ships maneuvered closer and closer. Searchlights swept the water at night, trapping fishermen in eerie white beams. Loudspeakers blared warnings in Mandarin and Tagalog. Each side accused the other of aggression. The Chinese vessels anchored in a defensive ring, blocking access to the lagoon. Philippine ships tried to break through, their engines roaring. At times, they came within meters of colliding. The air was tense, every gesture analyzed for hidden meaning. Fishermen found themselves caught in the middle. Some boats were rammed or sprayed with water cannons. Others fled the area, afraid for their lives. Satellite images showed new ships arriving each night, reinforcing both sides. International observers issued urgent warnings. The potential for escalation is extremely high, said one UN official. Yet on the water, neither side was willing to give an inch. The clearing operations began at dawn. Philippine Coast Guard ships formed a wedge, pushing slowly toward the entrance of the lagoon. Their mission to escort local fishermen into the shoal and assert their rights. Loudspeakers announced, "This is a Philippine patrol. You are in our exclusive economic zone." Chinese ships responded by forming a blockade. They used water cannons and high-powered searchlights to drive Filipino boats away. Radar jammers crackled, trying to disrupt communications. Drones circled overhead, relaying live video to command centers in Manila and Beijing. Inside each ship, sailors braced for sudden orders. Filipino crew members held their positions, life jackets on, their eyes scanning the horizon. Chinese sailors watched from behind tinted glass, ready for any sudden move. Each side accused the other of dangerous maneuvers. The clearing operation became a game of nerves. Every hour, the risk of a direct clash increased. The world waited, hoping cooler heads would prevail. In Manila, the Philippine president addressed the nation. "We will not be bullied in our own waters," he declared. "We urge China to respect international law and leave Scarborough Shoal." The statement was broadcast live, stirring patriotic pride across the country. Meanwhile, China's foreign ministry held a press conference in Beijing. The spokesperson stated, "Scarborough Shoal has always been Chinese territory. Our Coast Guard is lawfully protecting our sovereignty." The message was firm, with no sign of compromise. Both sides presented evidence, maps, documents, and photos. The Philippines cited the 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling, which rejected China's claims. China dismissed the ruling as invalid. Each government called on the other to withdraw, blaming them for the crisis. The world's major powers weighed in. The United States called for restraint. ASEAN leaders expressed concern. Yet the official statements only sharpened the divisions, pushing both countries to dig in deeper. On deck, Petty Officer Ramon Cruz watched the horizon. "We're trained for this," he said softly. "But it's different when you see those ships so close. One mistake, and everything could go wrong." His fellow crew members nodded in agreement, their faces tense. Fisherman Lito Gomez described the fear among his friends. "We just want to fish. But now, every trip out here feels like going to war." He recounted how his boat was nearly capsized by a Chinese water cannon. "My son was on board. We were soaked, scared, but we held on." On the Chinese side, a young sailor wrote on social media, "We patrol here day and night. We are proud to protect our country, but sometimes I wish we could just talk to the fishermen. They look tired, just like us." For those on the front lines, the standoff is more than headlines. It's fear, exhaustion, and hope. Each day brings fresh uncertainty. Each night, families pray their loved ones will come home safe. In Philippine fishing towns, anger grew. Markets were empty of fresh catch. "How can we feed our families if we cannot fish?" asked one villager. Community leaders called for help, demanding the government protect their rights and livelihoods. China's social media lit up with patriotic slogans. Many supported the Coast Guard's actions, sharing images of the shoal with the national flag. Others worried about the risks. "Peace is better than pride," one user commented, sparking debate online. Across the globe, diplomats scrambled. The United Nations called for dialogue. The United States Navy sent ships nearby, a sign of support for allies. ASEAN countries met in emergency session. The world watched closely, fearing the crisis could spill over into wider conflict. Every new development was headline news. Journalists reported from the decks of ships, their voices tense. Social media buzzed with rumors and hope. In the villages and cities, ordinary people waited, hoping for peace. The Scarborough Shoal standoff is more than a border dispute. It is a test of wills between two powerful neighbors. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade. Whoever controls the shoal controls shipping lanes, fishing grounds, and untapped oil and gas. Experts warn the crisis could set a dangerous precedent. If force decides disputes, the whole region is at risk, one analyst said. Other countries with claims, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, watch nervously, wondering if they are next. The world's major powers are drawn in. The United States, committed to defending its allies, could be forced to act if fighting breaks out. China wants to assert its place as a regional leader. The Philippines, backed by international law, refuses to back down. For now, the standoff continues. The risk of conflict remains high. Only diplomacy can break the deadlock. The future of regional peace and the South China Sea itself hangs in the balance.